There are a lot of black men out there who pretend they don't think white women are attractive. They say things like, my girl has to have melanin, or white girls aren't special, or my favorite, white girls aren't my type. Well, number one, African Americans aren't the only race of people with melanin in our skin, so it's time to can that tired phrase. Number two, white girls aren't special. In fact, they're some of the worst behaved women out there. But within the context of a relationship with a man of value, they certainly make much better girlfriends than who everyone thinks we should be in relationships with, and I'll let you do the math there. And number three, unattractive women are nobody's type, regardless of race. But lying to the world by saying they wouldn't smash an attractive white girl makes it plainly obvious that these brothers fall into a category of black men who honestly don't think they can get with these girls. Now, I have neither the time nor the patience to convince a group of men who have been brainwashed by their own community to believe that dating outside of his race somehow makes them less than or not a, quote, real brother. There's no hope for those men, and quite frankly, I don't give a damn. But for the brothers out there who are inexperienced in dating interracially, who are looking to broaden their horizons and seek better options, I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version on what to expect when approaching and dating white women. I'll also discuss some of the drawbacks that come with dating interracially. Now, dating white girls isn't all peaches and cream. Like anything in life, there are costs, but there are also benefits. And at the end of this video, you might not think it's worth it to pursue women outside of your race, but at least you'll have the information available to you so that you can make an informed decision without the influence of all the brainwashing you've been subjected to your entire lives. First, let's talk about what to expect when approaching white girls. And the first thing you need to understand is that white girls and other non-black women respond very differently when approached by brothers as opposed to other races of men. And there are four main elements that stood out to me that brothers definitely need to be cognizant of when pursuing these women. But first, I'd like to remind you to like, comment, and share this video if you think it can benefit someone you know. I would also like to inform you that the waiting list for Womanese Volume 3 is filling up very quickly. And the reason for that is that because when you enroll, you get access to Womanese 101, Womanese Volume 2, and Womanese Volume 4 when it's released on Valentine's Day at no additional charge. That's right, guys. When you enroll in Womanese Volume 3, you will get access to all subsequent volumes at no extra cost to you. Plus, you will get over 200 hours of exclusive bonus content not found anywhere on the web. And you get lifetime access to my Sunday webinars where I do coaching, answer questions, and give advice. Limited time enrollment opens on November 27th. That's Black Friday. So if you do not want to miss out on this life-changing information that will improve your dating life significantly, secure your spot now by texting GIRLS to 313-313 or go to donovansharp.com/womanese3. Okay, let's get back to talking about the four main elements that black men need to keep in mind when approaching white women. Number one, white girls rarely make us prove our masculinity. While most white males in America are charged with the task of proving their sexual fitness to women in this country, brothers don't generally have to deal with this quite as often. And the reason for this is that there is an unspoken sentiment here in the States that black men are quote-unquote natural alphas. Black professional athletes and the hip-hop culture do make a strong argument for this assumption, but the truth is, no one really knows for sure. Now, the advantage to this assumed, quote, alphaness is that white girls will test black men as a function of confirmation as opposed to qualification, and that's if they even test us at all. Now, every so often, they will poke and prod here and there to make sure that we live up to the perceived reputation, but by and large, white girls and non-black women tend to give more black men the instant stamp of masculinity than other races of men. Now, the drawback to this assumption is that if you do fail a masculinity test or a poop test, you are beyond finished. When the entire culture tells the majority of women that black men have natural alpha tendencies, they expect it from us from the onset. If they don't see it, or they sense even trace amounts of weakness or simp in you, their you-know-whats dry up quicker than a desert in the middle of a drought. Understand this, gentlemen. Nothing is more unattractive than a black man who is not masculine. Most times I failed even a single masculinity test, I have rarely been given a chance to redeem myself. Even if my game was rock solid to that point, they check out the minute I made a misstep. So even though we do have an advantage from the beginning, our margin of error is almost non-existent. I speak from personal experience. The second thing you need to expect when approaching white women is that they expect us to try to smash on the first date. Assuming we're natural alpha sets a lot of expectations with white girls. They expect us to be upfront and straightforward. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry for that. and are ready for us to be bold and forthright when we run game on them. This means they expect us to quickly escalate the interaction towards bedroom fun almost immediately. Now, the advantage to this is that it takes a huge amount of pressure off. Knowing a white girl expects us to make a strong play to get some action means that if they give up the digits, they're likely to give up the booty. Now, the disadvantage is that approaching them during the day can be very difficult. Listen, it's hard enough to work past the good girl shields of attractive women as it is, but it can be extremely difficult to strike up a conversation with a good-looking white girl to gain trust and build attraction. Now, granted, most men have to do this anyway, as hot girls correctly assume that the reason most men talk to them is because they want to smash. But when they're approached by a brother, they are 100% certain of what we're after, and if they're not DTF, they're not receptive to game at all. The end result is a lot of rejection, which again is part of the game. Can't win them all, fellas. On the other hand, this saves us a lot of time. When I used to approach white girls day or night, they made it very clear to me whether or not they were interested, and they very rarely wasted time voicing this. If they were feeling my game, they start to reciprocate. I get the digits, and the rest is history. If they're not, they often shut me down right there on the spot. Time is a man's most valuable commodity. So the fact that white girls and non-black women expect us to push for sex early and often saves us a lot of time and frustration in the long run, more often than not. The third thing you need to be aware of when approaching white women is that black men are rarely thought of as options for long-term relationships by young and attractive white girls. When the typical American white girl or non-black woman fantasizes about her perfect boyfriend or married life, she is seldom thinking about her beau being a black man. Whether we like it, admit it, or not, white men are at the top of the sexual food chain. Women of all races with white girl sensibilities prefer white guys, assuming all things are equal. Now, let me qualify that last statement. If there is a black man who is better looking, has a better job, is in better shape, and has a better handle on women than the typical white guy, most women, regardless of race, are going to gravitate towards the black guy because he's just a better option, skin tone notwithstanding. But if you have a white and a black male who both have great looks, a good handle on women, great jobs, and are both in great shape, white girls are going to choose the white guy better than 9 times out of 10. Call it unfair, disagree, call it whatever you want. That's how it is. No, I'm not saying that white guys are superior or that they're somehow better than other races of men. But facts are facts, and if you just take a look around, you'll see that white guys are just about every woman's type. Now, we have come a long way in America as far as the overall acceptance of interracial dating between black men and white women are concerned, but it does still carry a measure of taboo, however covert it may be. Couple that with the hive-minded mentality most American females have, meaning they all want the same things and they all think the same way, and you will find that most young, attractive white girls you approach won't be dreaming about your wedding, honeymoon, and life as wife with you. Outside of wealthy black men, it is very rare that young, attractive white and non-black women think of brothers as long-term options. The perceived notion that black men don't earn as much as white men and social stigma are major deterrents to white girls as far as marriage and settling down is concerned. However, white girls in this country are positively mystified by the lure of the sexual prowess of the black male. All white girls, regardless of age, are dying to know why women say, once you go black, you don't go back. Now, the obvious benefit here is that it leads to a lot of easy lays with white girls, especially in today's girl power culture that encourages women to sleep around. No, not all black men smash like adult film stars, and we don't all have huge sausages. Women who have experience with more than one brother know this. However, for those who have never come to the dark side can't help themselves. They have to know. So as soon as the opportunity presents itself, any white woman who's even a little bit curious almost involuntarily drops her panties when a black man strikes up conversation with her. Unless you're looking for a long-term commitment, there's no real downside to not being thought of as husbands or long-term boyfriends by white girls. These chicks are some of the easiest targets out there if you're just looking to smash as many Caucasian girls as you possibly can. So now that you know what to expect when you approach white girls and non-black women, let's now talk about what to expect when you engage in relationships on different levels with them. And the first thing you should expect is great treatment. If you're pounding her senseless and handle her like a man by having backbone, demanding her best, voicing her expectations up front, and holding her to her commitment to meet your expectations, a white girl will move heaven and earth to make your life better. Besides giving you the booty anytime and anywhere you damn well please, they will also put their domestic skills front and center to keep you around and show their appreciation for you. Before I made my woman my main chick, she treated me like a god every time we saw each other. She cooked for me, made sure my place was clean, waited on me hand and foot, and never hesitated to get on her knees and handle her business. That behavior continues today. Another Mexican girl I was dating in Vegas cleaned my apartment every time she came over. Although her cooking skills left a lot to be desired, she wasn't terrible and always made an effort to prepare a good meal for me. She knew how to lock me down by being a doting, dutiful woman because deep down she knows that this is what men of value want. In my younger days, I was smashing black girls left and right, and I can't remember any of them cooking, cleaning, or even offering to pick up the tab when we went out. In their minds, giving me the booty was all that was needed to keep me around. Now, to be fair, my value was much lower back then, but I was still treated better by white girls during that same time frame. This is the unfortunate mindset of the typical American black female. White girls, on the other hand, clearly understand that giving up the panties is only the beginning and gets them in the door. They are keenly aware of the fact that a man of value can get sex just about any time he wants. So they do other things to keep us around, which means stepping up their game in other areas to increase their value to you outside of fun in the bedroom. By the same token, they gotta know how to please us in bed. So the second thing you should expect is sexual openness. Black women who watch videos like this are always quick to point out that they just love giving fellatio. But the conventional wisdom that states sisters don't like going downtown didn't come from just nowhere. Stereotypes exist for a reason. The HBO show Insecure confirmed this stereotype with a conversation between Issa and all of her friends who were talking about how degrading it was to go down on a man. The one friend who endorsed going downtown on a man on the regular happened to be the one who was engaged to be married. Go figure. This stereotype was further validated during a scene when Issa decided to go down on her boy toy Daniel, and he sprayed protein all over her face. Issa lost her mind and stormed out of his apartment. She blamed him for releasing as a result of her wind employment. In my experience, and a lot of other black guys I've talked to, woman for woman, white girls give mouth pleasure at a much higher percentage than black women. I'm not sure what the exact numbers are, but I can tell you that the gap is wide. Sure, I've gotten my sausage smoked by black chicks in the past, but every single solitary white girl I have ever dealt with has never hesitated to get on her knees. I cannot say the same of black women. White girls are also by far the most open in the bedroom. Drinking protein, backdoor fun, public displays of, let's call it, extreme affection, and anything you can think of, white chicks are down for whatever. Anything and everything is on the table with these girls because they want to do whatever it takes to make you happy, even if they don't particularly like it, especially when it comes to the bedroom. The next thing you can expect from white girls when you date them is generally a good attitude, rather than a bitchy one. Now, to be fair, it is easy for women who get attention from any and every man the minute they step foot outside their front doors every morning to have a pleasant attitude. It's also easy for white girls to stay positive when they live the lives of privilege that they live. White women in America live the best lives of any class of human on the planet, so it stands to reason that they don't have much to be scorned about as opposed to black women. That said, the problems black women face in this day and age is no longer the problem of black men. And if we can smash, date, and be in long-term relationships with women who don't wake up with an attitude problem, then why would we? When white girls belong to a man who knows what he wants, can handle her, and takes control, they fall in line. They relax and adopt a kind disposition because they know they're being owned by a man they can trust without resenting him for being exactly what she really wants him to be. Black women have an involuntary reflex that tells them to push back when a man shows backbone because Oprah, Tyler Perry, and Iyanla Vanzant tells them that it is their birthright to be the head of household and they don't belong to no effing man. Brothers would do well to leave that headache alone and get with girls who actually acknowledge that they want a man who acts like a man and rewards them with her loyalty and deference with that behavior. The next thing black men can expect from white girls when we date them is submission. White girls are very submissive, but so are black women, or at least they can be. The problem is that black women view submissiveness in the presence of a male as a weakness. The truth is, every female has a natural desire to submit to a man. It is in their feminine firmware to surrender to a man and submit to him. White girls, when properly trained, are naturally submissive to their men, and it's easy for them because they're simply giving in to the impulses they already have to begin with. Now, before women and simps start bellyaching, let's be clear about the true definition of submission within the context of a sexual relationship between a man and a woman. What it's not is a woman walking around the house with her head down, doing her chores with a black eye, while fearfully avoiding conversations with her man for fear of his violent temper. That definition is an apex fallacy designed to give women carte blanche to be exactly the opposite. Yes, there are relationships out there that resemble a slave-master dynamic, But in this day and age, women have the power not only to leave those relationships, but completely bury the man if they so please. That said, the true definition of submission is that of a woman who surrenders control and puts the needs of her man before her own. If he wants to smash, she lets him, and she doesn't make excuses about headaches or not being in the mood. If her man is hungry, she feeds him. If he needs some space to relax, she falls back and returns when he asks her to. Regardless of what he needs, a truly submissive woman is there for him no matter what. In her mind, his needs come before her own every single time. And in return for her submissiveness, he rewards her with his protection, time, resources, and companionship, among other things. Now, I can guarantee that sisters are laughing right now at what I just said, and that is one of the many fundamental differences between them and white girls. They can yuck it up all they want, but this is one of the main reasons high-value black men don't want to deal with them anymore. The next thing you can expect is attention from other white girls. This is attraction 101, and the concept here is pre-selection. You'd be surprised at the number of white women who have never considered dating a black guy all of a sudden change their minds when they see their friends with one. I've dated countless white girls who told me they'd only recently started dating outside their race because she saw one of her friends did. When attractive white women see other attractive white women with black men, it piques their curiosity, and eventually they succumb to it and come over to the dark side. Remember, women don't want to date men that other women don't want. So when a white girl sees you're pre-selected by other white girls, be ready to start getting more attention from them. The last and most important thing to expect from white girls is true femininity. No matter her skin tone, a feminine woman is an attractive one. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know that black women are as masculine as many races of men. This deficiency can be laid at the feet of their culture, their upbringing, and their environment. But that doesn't take away from the fact that women who act like men are unattractive to men. The hard truth is that white girls are more feminine than black women, and it's not even close. The funny thing is, the more masculinity you show in the presence of a white girl, the more feminine they become. If you verbally reprimand her for some reason, they soften up and heed your command. If you let her know the two of you are staying in for the night rather than going on a double date with her coworker and her boyfriend, she'll say yes sir and be done with it. Black females are the polar opposite. You see, the more masculinity you show in the presence of a black woman, the more masculine she becomes. If you show any semblance of backbone, black women get louder, their nostrils flare, their voices get deeper, and they become confrontational. Men aren't turned on by this, and that's all there is to it. The difference between white women and black women isn't really about race at all. It isn't about men being, quote, conditioned to like white girls because of television, movies, and commercials. No, it's about the fact that white girls act like women and black women act like men. There's nothing psychological about it. Regardless of the color of a woman's skin, men want to be with feminine, submissive women who are kind and easy to be around. And woman for woman, white girls exhibit these characteristics at a much higher rate than black women, and everybody knows this, including black women. Now we're going to discuss a few of the not so great things you definitely need to be prepared for when reverse swirling. The myth that black men only date white women who are fat, unattractive, or both is patently false. Sure, there are plenty of brothers out there who date bottom-of-the-barrel white girls, but these guys are low-value men because they don't believe they can attract beautiful white women. People who perpetuate this myth use internet memes and false rhetoric as, quote, research to prove their point. Nothing could be further from the truth, and the proof is all around us every day. I have never dated a fat or unattractive white woman in my life. Even when I was low value, a lot of black men out there would co-sign on this if they're being honest. But when you're out and about and you're seen with your hot little blonde-haired, blue-eyed girlfriend, you're going to elicit some strong reactions. The first kind, hate from black women. This is the first and most immediate effect. When black women see you strolling around hand in hand with your pretty white girlfriend, they're not going to like it, and they're not going to hide their disgust. Be ready for dirty glances in your directions and snide comments just audible enough for the two of you to hear. Expect your black female cashiers, waitresses, or other occupations in the service industry to treat you poorly. They'll give you the silent treatment at the register, they'll take forever to bring your food, and they will do their level best to inconvenience you in any way they can. Now, does this happen all the time? Certainly not. But it's happened enough to me to get my attention. And if you're a black man who has an attractive white girlfriend, be prepared for this because it's coming. Count on it. You can also expect judgment from your female family members. Gentlemen, be prepared for your mothers, sisters, and aunts to call your choice in women into question. Sometimes they'll be overt and simply tell you you're wrong for dating white women, but most of the time they'll ask loaded questions designed to make you look bad regardless of your answers. You haven't found a good black woman? Maybe you're dating the wrong women. What kind of women have you dated in the past? These are just a few of the questions they will ask you in an attempt to shame you into jumping back onto the sinking ship, otherwise known as the undateable black woman. The solution here is to either change the subject or just tell them that you don't want to talk about it. You don't owe anyone an explanation for anything you do, least of all your female family members. The next group of people you'll get hate from are from other black men. Interestingly enough, most of the hate I get for dating white girls comes from other black men. I get called all kinds of names like race traitor, coon, Uncle Tom, and all of the usual tired sophomoric names these dudes have used for decades to signal their obvious envy of people who have what they want. Take a look at the comment section of any of my videos or social media feeds. Most of the hate I get is from brothers. Just let it roll off your shoulders, guys. Now, I'll be honest, it used to bother me, but I learned a long time ago that when you catch heat from other black men for dating white girls, it's because they wish they themselves could date them. The sad truth is that they could, but they allow their own community to shame them from expanding their horizons, and they hate on black men who have had the strength to break free and do what they want. Another group of people you will get hate from are white guys. Now, the hate that you get from white men is going to be much more covert, but far more dangerous. They won't be as vocal as black men or women, but depending upon the situation, they could do a lot more damage than the name-calling or dirty looks ever could. If a white cop pulls you over and you've got a pretty white girl in the passenger seat, or vice versa, be prepared for anything. Keep your wits about you, keep your cool, follow the law, know your rights, and do not escalate verbally. All it takes is getting pulled over by a white cop whose wife cheated on him with a black guy, or whose daughter is dating a black guy, or any other situation you could think of, and he's looking for any reason at all to ruin your day. If you work for or with white guys, be ready for the same thing. Oh, they'll be cool with you until they see that your wife or girlfriend is white. This isn't to say that things will automatically change for the worst, but you need to be cognizant of the possibilities. Now, is every white guy going to secretly hate on you? Of course not. Most of them probably won't. But it would be foolhardy not to at least be aware of any changes in behavior. At the end of the day, the vast majority of people aren't going to have a problem with you dating interracially. Just understand that when you start dating white girls, the way some people will treat you will change. Some will treat you better, some not so much. Most won't change at all. But if you expect your life to be exactly the same when you start dealing with blonde-haired, blue-eyed females, think again. So now that you have this information, you can now make an informed decision. Good luck.